What's up everyone, this is Alex from Father's Love, Father's Heal. I'm back in the garden and I brought out my worm bin outside for the first time. I've always kept it inside and this year I want to try to bring it outside just because it's annoying to carry it from where I keep it through the basement. Sometimes I spill some on the carpet, which the wife doesn't like too much. So I figured this year I'll try it, bring it outside. I probably have to build something or put something over it just to keep the sun off of this thing so it doesn't dry out or get too hot in here. So if anyone has any ideas, best way to go, maybe get a canvas bag and lay it on top, something to just keep it a little cooler. I have an apple tree here growing, so eventually it'll grow big enough to give me some shade and I don't have to worry about that. But there's really nowhere in my garden that has any shade where I can put this. And I don't want to put it on this end of my garden just because of the slope. I don't want to do that. So I just want to take you a look. I've had this thing for 3 years. First year I really didn't do much, but last 2 years I've been getting a lot of good worm castings through here. And also, I also get the juice from here. But I have to clean this thing out because it's completely stopped up. So let me show you what it looks like inside. Okay, so this first bin really has nothing in it. And this is where all the good stuff is. I just fed this I don't know, yesterday. Let's see if I can find some worms. It's a little dry. Oh, there it is. Look at this. It's a little dry in here. Look at that, huh? That's all working hard for me. Don't have to pay them, no health insurance, nothing like that. So now that I'm going to keep this outside, I can really, look at that. Look at that, huh? Beautiful. Now that I have this outside, I can really feed this heavy. But let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this. So I'm going to harvest all this. This is probably a year old, so this is ready. I'm going to throw some of this in my seed starting tray. So I'll take this one out, but it's all stopped up. So I'm not getting any juice from the bottom just because it's all stopped up. I never cleaned it out and I've neglected that. So this here is just completely stopped up. So let me clean this out. I'll throw some of this in the old bin real quick. Okay, so I got everything cleaned out and it's pretty amazing. When I first bought the worms, it was a pack of maybe 50 and these things self-regulate very well. There's probably a couple hundred in there. And if you start slacking off, you don't give them enough food, they'll kind of start dying off and then you feed them and they reproduce. So it's a pretty cool ecosystem. But what I did is I want to show you what kind of compost tea comes out of this. I just filled this up with water and let the water sift through. And I'm going to show you what kind of compost tea you're going to get that you can use to feed your plants. Look at that. Now that is just ready to use, ready to go compost tea. You can mix this in with your water barrel or just pour some onto your plants, but this is ready to go. If you don't vermicompost, definitely start trying. Now to feed this, I left a pile of my leaf mold and I'm gonna fill this part with my leaf mold. Actually, I'm gonna fill this completely even with leaf mold, then put this on top, feed this with leaf mold, and what I'm gonna do is stop putting food down here. Now what'll happen is once the worms exhausted all the food down here, they'll work their way up, start eating here, and then I'll just repeat the process with the third bin, and by the time I get to the third bin, this is ready to go. Whenever I need it, I can use it. And now, I was really afraid last time of giving them too much water just because it would fill up, overflow, sometimes it'll fall on the floor, and it was just a pain. So this time that I have it outside, I really don't have to worry about that. I can water as much as I want. If it overflows onto the ground, into the garden, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna fill this up with some leaf mold, and then I'm gonna take it into the greenhouse and show you what I'm doing with my seed starting. Because I'm gonna try to make sure I get many of the sticks, the big stuff out. And I'm just gonna level this off with some leaf mold. Instead, if you have sticks and twigs, you know, you can always filter that out later. And this way the soil is touching the next bin, and it gives the worms a way to crawl up to the next bin. They say they'll eat all these leaves and everything. And then whenever you harvest this, you should be all broken down, but if it's not, you just, with a sifter, just sift it out. Now you don't want to put just food in here and then leave it alone, and worms won't like that. You got to put a layer of soil of some kind, compost, coconut coir. I'm using leaf mold, which is just what I have. Anything like that to give the worms somewhere to crawl up into. Okay, I'm in the greenhouse. I just want to show you all the soil blocks I have started so far. I got broccoli, cauliflower, tons of lettuce, kale, celery, dill. I got some cosmos, a lot of some different flowers. Nothing's come up yet. I just did these maybe two to 3 days ago, so they're still in progress. So in about a week, I should start seeing the lettuce, Swiss chard come up, kale, stuff like that. Really getting better with these soil blocks. Just kind of, you gotta do them for a while to get good at them. I'm still learning a lot, but the hardest part is getting the right mixture. You don't want it too soupy or too dry, kind of so it can clump together. And you kind of want to see like a couple drops of water if you squeeze it. So I think that's pretty good. So for the seeds, for the onion, I have Utah Jumbo, a Texas onion. Now for the block, the way I've been doing it's been working out pretty well. I just kind of work it, keep just working, cutting up the worms as I do it. And you just kind of rock it back and forth. Make sure you fill these cells up. There's 4 cells in here. Then all you do is put it here and push this down, kind of shake it a little bit. There you go. You got soil blocks. Okay, this is why I really like working with these soil blocks. Once you get used to them, they're a little bit weird at first. Number one, you don't have to worry about transplant shock. So when you put these in the ground, you don't have to harden them off. Nothing like that. They're ready to go. Number two, you can fit a ton of blocks in a tray. And I'm putting like 3 or 4 seeds in here. I'm going to sew these pretty close together. And that way, when they pop up, I can just break them apart, because I want to have a lot of onions this year to store over the winter. I ran out probably around end of January. I ran out of onions, so I got a lot, but they go pretty quick. Cook with onions. You know, you pretty much cook with onions for every meal. So I got onions. I have my own bed for onions, but I'm also going to interplant onions all throughout the garden, just because they keep a lot of the pests away. A lot of the bugs don't like onions. Plus, you know, when you're doing multi-sowings, you know, you want to plant as much stuff as you can in a little space, so that way you get a lot of crop. So I'll probably, because depending how many I get from here, I'll probably go throughout the garden and just put some in from seed. So that way I have seed started too. And I'll probably wait until these come up, so I have a little staggered crop. So whenever these start coming up, I'll probably wait a week after that, and then I'll put the onions seeds in the ground. So once you put the seeds in, all you have to do is just put a little bit of soil on top to cover up the hole, and that's it. Okay, so I did a lot today. While I was in the greenhouse, I saw my shade cloth, and I won't be using that probably for another month or so. So I figured this will be perfect to just cover over this worm bin. So problem solved. I'll probably have to buy another one, a smaller one. This is a big one, just a real short one to keep over this at all times. and that should give me the shade that these need. This is a 40% shade cloth, so I'll get a higher one, maybe a, you know, whatever, 80-90% one. I hope you liked the video, and I hope you're starting to get your garden prepared for the season. Don't keep putting it off. It's almost time. It's right around the corner. Your future self will thank you. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and if you're interested in any of my woodworking, I'll put a link down below. I'll see you at the next one.